Okay, lesson 3. We have a double subject again. We start with Dharana. Yoga is, especially in the modern approach to yoga, is very much expected to be physical exercise. So most yoga classes are indeed focusing on physical exercise. But the classes that offer meditation as well, they advertise their classes as come and practice yoga and meditation with us. In essence, that statement is not correct, because yoga is meditation. So when you invite people to come over practice yoga, you are technically inviting people to come over and meditate. Of course, the reality is that since the commercialization of yoga 2 decades ago, that has changed a little bit. It's not so bad. It's good to understand what it is all about. Because the whole purpose of yoga is to transform the human being, is to nurture consciousness in the human being. And we have already come to the conclusion that when you practice the physical element of yoga correctly, asana, which means, asana, the word asana literally means standing still posture. So if you do that correctly, standing still with the exercises, you already notice something is changing. You already notice that you change the way you feel, but also the way you perceive. You become more alert, more conscious, more sensitive. The system of yoga is designed to lead to the development of contemplation in the human being. So last week I explained a little bit about, or probably it was at the introduction workshop, which all of you attended, about the chakras and the higher characteristics, wisdom, intelligence, intuition, I mean, but also unconditional love, deep insight in complex matter. That's all located in the crown chakra, which is an energy center that in non-conditioned people is barely active. So the purpose, if you look at the framework of yoga, which exists out of 8 steps, yama, niyama, which are designed to gradually eliminate distractions and conflicts from our life, then you have the actual asana practice, followed by energy control, pratyahara, and then the 3 levels of meditation. It's a very systematic, powerful framework to bring about that transformation, to lead to a contemplative human being. But that framework is only systematic and powerful if we stick with it. And what you see in more than 90% of all yoga classes is that they don't stick with the framework. So it's always nice to have exercise, but it is missing that huge dimension of yoga that yoga done properly is presenting us, which is the most valuable part of yoga. Ajna chakra is the 6th chakra from the bottom, and it is in the first stages of what we do. It is the most important chakra, because Ajna chakra is considered to be the boss in our system. Ajna Chakra is considered to be the commander-in-chief, the general in our system. Why? Because Ajna Chakra is the location of thought control. So if you develop thought control, you can control the activities in all the other chakras. Ajna Chakra is the center where thinking takes place, which usually is rather unstructured and mostly subconscious. With the practice of yoga, we structure it and we more and more make subconscious thought conscious. So we understand better who we are, what we are, why we do what we do, but more importantly also, why we shouldn't do certain things that always make us end up in trouble. Now, everything is about energy. If you concentrate, which already start, when you try to understand that when you try to stand still in asana, that is not a purely physical activity. As long as you move, you can listen to music, you can even watch the news. If you go to the gym, you have all these machines. You can run on a machine, you can do elliptic, Nordic track, cycling, etc. They all have a screen. You can watch the news, or you can watch pop music, or documentary, or you can just choose. You can switch channels, you can choose whatever you want to watch. When you stand still, it's very difficult. Because when you stand still, you must concentrate. Naturally, you're forced to concentrate. And that is where you start seeing that mysterious connection of the body and the mind. The many yoga teachers, when they put you in a difficult pose, preferably a very strenuous one, a warrior pose or something, you're shaking and you're sweating, and they are walking around, they don't participate, they walk around and they say, connect your body with your mind and your soul. Now if you ask them how that works, how to do that, they don't know. Because while they tell you to connect your body and your mind and your soul, they create circumstances that don't allow you to do that. Because they play music, which keeps your attention external, and they keep talking, which distracts you and keeps your attention external, and they make you continue to move. So all these elements are totally anti-yoga, in fact, and with that, do not allow that connection of body, mind and soul to happen. And it sounds very mysterious, it sounds maybe even unrealistic, just some, fairy tale from a mysterious past. But connection of the body and the mind happens very easily. It's so easy that people don't believe it. But you need to turn off the music, you need to stop talking as a teacher, and you need to stand still, stop moving. Then when you do asana properly, standing still is only possible by concentration, which is the start, the foundation of meditation is concentration. So it already starts in the physical aspect of yoga practice, if you practice asana correctly. In silence, standing still. I explained that energy has a tendency to condense and manifest towards the bottom. It explains why people's lives are controlled for a large part, some people more than others of course, by emotions, by fear, by sexuality, by lower emotions and desires. Those are all functions of the lower chakras. Those are all elements that make us unstable, that distract us, that keep us from what we really want to do in our life. So with yoga, standing still, just without meditation, just the physical practice of yoga, asana, you activate, you concentrate energy in Ajna Chakra. Then energy has a very particular characteristic. If you concentrate it in one place, it diminishes in other places. So if you concentrate, meditate, which is an activity on the higher levels of your chakras, you pull energy away from the lower chakras, from the lower emotions and desires, the instincts. So sometimes people ask, can I concentrate on my heart chakra? Or can I concentrate on my Manipura chakra? Which some yoga teachers teach in their classes. I always say no. Because our goal is harmony. And you can increase the energy in one chakra if you focus on that particular chakra. But the harmony, the balance among the chakras is disturbed if you empower one chakra while overlooking the other chakras. So the answer, if you want a certain chakra, if you know a little bit about energy and Oriental medicine, healing, and you understand, for example, that a problem you are dealing with is related to a certain chakra, you stimulate that chakra not by focusing on the one chakra alone, you do it through Ajna Chakra, which then leads to holistic healing. Not only that chakra is being treated, but all other levels in your body are treated as well. And that is how you build harmony and maintain harmony. So you see in the handout an anecdote of mentioning Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, who emphasized that it's very important to approach yoga in that way. Do not mess up things by focusing on chakras below Ajna Chakra, because that may seem helpful or even interesting, but it actually causes the opposite of harmony. It causes disharmony. So we have to always go through Ajna Chakra. There is a description of the three conditions, which I already explained last week and in the workshop. But it's important that you start recognizing this in your daily life, because you see that these conditions are not just energy conditions, they totally change how we function. In Sattva, there is observation. Well, it's written in a very nice way. Observation and reflection upon the universal source of wisdom and knowledge. Sattva is the condition where the crown chakra is active. So there is insight, wisdom, intuition, all the valuable characteristics. If there is no sattva, those characteristics don't manifest. So, when you are in a rajas condition, control and manipulation of thoughts become possible, leading to creativity. So that is what happens when you, for example, you are at work. It is the condition in which you experience a sense of euphoria. So it becomes a little bit addictive to feel like that, because when there is rajas, it is always leading eventually to a tamas condition, and this is what people don't like. As long as we move physically or mentally, because rajas occurs also when you study or concentrate very hard on your work in the office, as long as you move, you generate Shakti, which leads to that rajas condition in which you have a certain level of control over your thought processes and creativity, creative thought. But it is a natural law. When you are in rajas, you eventually must come to tamas, because in tamas you recover from the effort. That is what you do when you sleep, or when you work out and you lie down on the sofa for half an hour just to relax. That is tamas condition. But tamas condition leads to contraction, leading to thought production without control, which results in restlessness, negative thought, and even depression occurs as a result of a tamas condition. So this is why, if you want to do yoga correctly, it is important that you do it in such a way that it leads to sattva. Sattva is the only thing that matters to us. Tamas and rajas are natural fluctuations. In an unconditioned human being, those fluctuations are very big, like a huge ping pong game between activity and rest. It is an endless cycle. With yoga, we take control. Tamas and rajas cannot be avoided because it's simply a natural cycle, but we reduce the fluctuations considerably. So you become much more stable throughout. As a result, emotionally, mentally, you become much more stable, happier, sense of well-being increases, improves. Also, you're much more efficient with your energy and therefore more productive as a result. And the reduction of those huge fluctuations leading to more sattva, very importantly, lead to the manifestation of those higher characteristics. Wisdom, insight, intuition, unconditional love. When we talk about the brain, we think that the brain is just one organ, one entity. The brain, however, has a small section, the cerebellum, or the small lumps of the brain, and it has a bigger section, the cerebrum, which is the big lumps of the brain. Education leads to the development of the big part of the brain. We are all a product of that. We have a huge big part of the brain. But I mentioned just 10 minutes ago that energy has a very particular characteristic. If energy is concentrated in one place, it is being drawn away from another place. Where it comes to the brain is when the cerebrum is strongly developed and all our thinking power, all our mind activity is concentrated here, there is not much energy left here. Now, ancient people didn't have systematic education like we have. They didn't have education at all, except for a very small number of people. Ancient people, they had all their energy in the cerebellum. All their energy here, no energy here. What happens in the small lumps of the brain is your sixth sense, intuition. ancient people who had their energy concentrated here, they're very sensitive. So ancient stories are all about ghosts, spirits. There are spirits everywhere, in the forest, in the mountains, the river, everywhere. We, modern human beings with all our energy here, we shrug our shoulders and you say, what spirits, what ghosts, I don't see anything. Because we don't feel it anymore. Because that sense, that is here. But here is a problem. There are two problems. These people, we, intellectually very highly developed because of systematic education for like 20 years, we have lost our connection with the world of energy. We don't feel energies anymore. Ancient people would call these energies spirits. We don't believe in spirits anymore, in ghosts, spirits. Ancient people, they were just like animals. They felt everything. They were aware, instinctively aware of everything around them. But they did not have the intellect to rationally understand what they were feeling. So they were scared. They were scared of everything. And you find that in ancient stories. There is fear everywhere of spirits, of ghosts, of some kind of God that just wants to punish us. So both situations, conditions are not good, are not balanced. Ancient people, and you can still find this in the older generations in Korea, the grandmoms and the grandfathers, they are very superstitious. They did not have the benefit of 20 years of systematic education. So they're still very sensitive, but superstitious. They're full of superstitions, right? Rational people, they're not scared of anything. They're not superstitious at all. They have rationalized everything to pieces. And there is nothing to fear or nothing. There is nothing unexplainable anymore. Everything can be rationalized. What we do with yoga is to bring back harmony between those two again, so that we can start functioning as a whole again, having both intellect and intuition. So then you get this. Now, what is the benefit of that? Is just a luxury or just a theory? No. Genius occurs when intellect is combined with intuition. So there are many people with a degree. Some people have 2 or 3 degrees. Does that mean they are geniuses? No, it doesn't. Often, even when you talk with them or you hear them talking, when you watch TV, you think, oh my God, how is it possible that this person is saying these kind of things? That person is supposed to be educated with all their degrees, and listen to them. It just doesn't make sense what they're saying. The opposite is that sometimes you hear people talk with no education at all, and there is so much common sense in what they say, so much logic and wisdom even. That's people who are functioning here. Sometimes they're not even capable of writing their own name, but they have wisdom from here. That wisdom is something that you cannot learn from a book. But throughout the centuries, there have been geniuses. Like Einstein. We still talk about Einstein. We still don't fully understand everything that he discovered and wrote down. Still, scientists are trying to understand elements of his insights. You have these Galileo. Galileo invented things that were not even possible to build yet, because the technology wasn't there yet. genius. If you look at those people a little bit closer, you notice they have something in common. Very often their behavior is very childlike. If I say childish, it sounds very negative, but it's not negative at all. They're very childlike. They're also very spiritual. Without necessarily believing in a certain God, they are naturally very spiritual. It shows that they are in harmony in the big lumps and the small lumps of the brain. Children in school, young children, who grow up in a very harmonious family with love and no violence or distractions, they also function on both levels, and generally they do very well in class. At the end of the semester, their scorecard goes through the roof, very high. They're the best of the class. Children that are disturbed because of a disharmonious upbringing, where there is no love between the mother and the father, and the child comes home from school and never knows what's going on, if there's going to be a meal or a cup of tea or anything, no routine, they're very disturbed. There's no harmony, and at the end of the semester their scorecard is often very low. So this sounds like a theoretical story, but it has very deep implications into how we function. And you know, many yoga teachers, advertisements talk about healing. What is the healing here? That is, all of us go through life and become damaged in a way. Physically, but very much mentally. We carry trauma with us. So when you start practicing yoga, you may be in a condition where you are distracted in life, where you are still suffering from past experiences, where you feel that you're not really productive or getting anywhere with the things that you want to achieve in your life, with your ambitions, because you're constantly being distracted. Yeah? The healing aspect of yoga is very real because it leads to that harmony occurring where you little by little eliminate the distractions and therefore become more and more productive. To understand that, you can see in your own circles, family, friends, neighbors, you can see people who are not getting anywhere with their life. They just live day by day. As long as there is a meal on the table and the bills are being paid every month, everything is steady. But 10 years later, they still live in the same way. They still haven't achieved the things that they are ambitious about. They just have no room. The healing aspect here is that you free up a lot of energy that will eventually lead you, enable you to do what you really want to do with yourself and your life. That is taking control of your destiny. Okay? So, yoga done correctly, it's a no-brainer. It has so many amazing benefits, it's almost hard to believe. But I'm very passionate about presenting yoga in the correct way because it has saved my life. It has transformed my life in the same way that I'm telling you that it will do yours. But one thing that's very important to understand is that it is necessary to engage. It's necessary to practice. Yoga is a science of life, but it's not a theoretical science. You can read 100 books about yoga, or listen to 100 of lectures about yoga, and you will develop some insight, but it will not lead to sattva. It will not lead to the desired changes, transformations in life. So at least some practice is required. I wouldn't say 7 days a week. Everybody will decide that for themselves. If you really want to benefit from what we're doing here, it is necessary that you try at least a little bit during the weekdays to practice on your own. Questions about this? One more thing, Om. Singing of Om. Om is kind of a ritual, and I'm a no-nonsense practical teacher of yoga, so I do not keep myself busy with rituals, except if there is a valid purpose to it. Om is called a holy mantra because Om, according to tradition, is the vibration of pure sattva from before the universe came into being. So Om is the vibration that lies at the foundation of all of us. And it's pure sattva. Now why do we sing Om? At the beginning of the class, we sing Om once. And we do that to all come onto the same wavelength and to open up. I make myself vulnerable to all of you by opening up and give you everything I have, including very personal stories sometimes. You open yourself up by absorbing all that and having to reflect on all that. So you open up the crown chakra with the first singing of Om, and then we share with each other. At the end of the class, we sing Om 3 times. Now why 3 times? In the beginning of the class, we are all disharmonious. I come here by car, you come here by subway, another comes by bicycle. Everybody has had another life before arriving here. That means we are all on a different vibration, another energy, a different energy. Disharmonious to some extent. So when we arrive, we sing Om together at the beginning of the class to come down to the same energy, the same vibration. And we open up completely, our being. But the body, when harmonious, exists out of 3 distinct energy bodies: physical, mental, spiritual. Those bodies are wide open. So at the end of the class, at the end of the meditation, we sing Om 3 times as a measure to protect ourselves. Because we are going out again into the disharmonious world, a world full of aggression and violence, even if it is very subtle. So we basically, it's a ritual. We sing Om 3 times to close first the spiritual body, then the mental body, and the physical body. Now how do you sing Om? Om comes from the belly, not from the throat. If you sing Om from the throat, it's very disharmonious. Om! If you sing from the belly, the whole chest and the whole upper body is basically functioning like a sound how do you call it? Like a drum, creating vibration. And you're not using your vocal cords that much as when you don't sing from the belly. So try to sing Om all together at the start and at the end of the class, and do not be bothered by what it sounds like, because with every person it will sound different, and that's okay. And even when I sing Om, sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. It depends on my energy. So just sing Om and do not bother about how it sounds or what it sounds like. Okay?